small can turn big, and hopefully be able to, not miss those moments as much as we usually do.
To a certain degree, how they can, I would say, honestly baffles me. I often don't understand how, no pun literally intended right there. I often don't get how in the world did something even get misunderstood in what we just said to one another, to use personal examples, or not really thinking of one at the moment, but just to say that, over and over, life seems to present moments of literally turmoil, personal, interpersonal, and professional turmoil at times over the smallest trivial little things. So somebody didn't catch, really what one word was in the whole sentence, but it turns it inside out, that the presence or absence of that word. Or sometimes the negative versus the positive gets twisted in somebody's mind as they hear something they didn't catch, that somebody was saying it negatively, and vice versa. And so they thought it was a positive statement, but they didn't get the do and the don't, or the does and the doesn't, or some other thing somehow got missed. But literally, it does seem silly at times. I think, frankly, regularly, and I think all of us, if we're honest, when we look back at some of the challenges we've had, particularly in interpersonal relationships, and if somebody asked you, what were you guys fighting about, quote unquote, it's really almost embarrassing and seems silly, and so on. So it's out there. The presence of those little things becoming big is a regular experience. So how it happens as readily as it does is somewhat, I think, takes a lot of exploration. And I'm not sure I think often we try to solve it and eliminate it from happening by figuring out how it last happened, or what just happened, or this or that. And I'm not sure that actually is it may be a pretty futile effort. I'm not sure it's really, it's kind of a Promethean task, if I'm getting the right, the right legend or myth right, in terms of that stone that some poor ancient dude has to push up a mountain and pretty much loses it every time he's at least halfway up, or even almost to the top, comes flying back down. Anyway, it's a task, it's a tough one.
So how would folks, we as mediators are facilitating discussions, and it's easier on the outside to say, hey, let's slow down here because I think we're off track, and steer us back on track. How would people self-diagnose, maybe in their own conversation, that, wait, I think I said this word and it was just that word, and wait, and we're all off track just because of that? How can people be more self-attentive to this little thing could become so big?
At the risk of sounding too folksy, I literally think, and quite seriously and personally and genuinely, have had the experience of decades of time thus far in my life, seeming to get a little closer to noticing one simple thing, particularly when I'm not in my professional role. And so I need to, it's always harder for whatever reason. It tends to be harder anyway in one's individual life, as things organically happen, as opposed to in certain professional roles and given certain professional responsibility in those roles and so on. Let me just say that to a certain degree, one way is to use the misery. I literally mean that. If you start feeling like, God, I hate it here, and we're going back to somewhere that I can't stand, and we've repeated before, or we've had the experience before, and we're repeating at least the experience of it, the feeling aspect of it, that's a really good cue